Would you like to buy a PS5 that retails at $500? No, you can't actually do that right now. That's gonna actually be $900 and some sort of hype shoes to go along with it. I'm not sure why, but that's just how it is. How about mirror regulator for your BMW that normally costs $54.99? Not today. That's gonna be a 5-month wait and $179.99. And it's like sick, but it's not. And it's a bummer, okay? It's kind of like when the Mitsubishi Eclipse crossover thing was unveiled and everybody was like, ah. And I will not stop the slander. It's terrible, okay? I'm Alex at FI on Instagram, and today we're talking about another itsy bitsy category that's going through that a bit, like a little bit of the issue of supply and demand. And if that's the reason that teenagers, the young bucks, the TikTokers, the astrology-loving 16-year-olds just cannot seem to find, for the absolute life of them, any sort of decent cars for a decent price anymore. We're gonna be talking about what happened and why you can't actually buy cheap cars anymore. Drop a comment on what you'd like to see us cover in the newest series of What Happened in the comments section below, because, well, I could use the idea, and I don't know what to do with my hands, but I'm stretching. Need more big boy brain ideas. And if you're looking for aftermarket wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check us out over at fitmentindustries.com. And we have quick delivery on our own wheel and tire packages that we have in stock with free shipping, so you don't have to wait 6 months for wheels. You can get them in as little as 7 days. Specifically, Artisa Artformed Wheels, our brand new wheel line that is our stuff that we made for you. And yeah, it's a plug, but what do you want me to say? What do you actually want me to talk about? A link for Squarespace code? You want me to talk about Clash of Clans? You want me to talk about... You want me to talk about that? Yeah, that's what I thought.
No need to squeeze wheel boxes and loose tires in your car just to drive around and spend even more money for them to get mounted and balanced. Hey, make sure to check out our wheel and tire packages, and not only that, you can save on mounting and balancing. Not only that, but we got free shipping too. Get to work! What are you doing? Get the hell! Get out of here! Come on now!
Cheap cars have been the founding stage for nearly every new enthusiast that gets their license, okay? It's one of the first things you could ever possibly do at 16 years old. And my first car was a 1989 Mercedes-Benz 300E that was baby blue with some big old wheels on it, and I got it for $3,000. But my first enthusiast vehicle was a 1994 Mitsubishi 3000 GT SL with 80,000 miles, manual for $3,200. And that's not so bad, baby. And even a few years ago, there's quite a few vehicles I used to be able to pick up for a couple, $2,000, $3,000, maybe $1,000, and then now they're going for like 10, okay? And I'm not kidding. I could get a Mazda Miata, and I bought one for $600. S2000 for $10K. I've bought in B5s for $4,000. Ask Sean what he got his E55 AMG for, and it was lovely. Or it was. And now you can get 2 steering wheels, a box of Altoids, and a rusted shell of a 300ZX non-turbo automatic for like $10,000. And that'll actually sell in a day. Why? Why can nobody find cool cars anymore? Now, it's easy to think back to the old 2020 thing that's going on, but it actually started a few years before that. And I would argue that a lot of this started happening right around 2015. See, every decade or so, there's a new interesting platform that seems to take on the industry. There are these cars, these groups, people, or lifestyles that people become infatuated with and ultimately drive up prices. Here's an example. The air-cooled bubble of the late 2000s and early 2010s is what caused air-cooled 911s to now be worth more than $100,000 when you used to be able to snag one of these things for like $16,000 to $20,000. A lot of that had to do with just the drive of wanting a classic air-cooled motor. Diesel trucks went through this in the early 2000s, and it's the reason that you can still sell one with 300,000 miles for $35,000. I know the motor is good, bruv, but like you're missing a fender and it doesn't have a tailgate. You can't sell it for $35,000. I know what I got. Yeah, like I don't want to deal with those sort of people, but those sort of people exist. There's another relatively popular category of cars that's now getting that amount of attention and is like the Japanese sports cars, specifically JDMs if you've got the extra cash. If you want to buy something that's a little exclusive, something with the steering wheel on the other side of the car, okay? Because of driving interest in the cars like the NSX, the S2000, the Honda SIs, the Integras, the Supras, the 3000 GTs, the RX-7s, and more, this has initially lifted the water for nearly all prices in the industry, even if the car is trash. A few exceptions have been the 350Zs for some reason, but they will likely go up too. They just have a massive volume of cars still sitting in the market that haven't blown up yet, which means that they're still relatively cheap. Lots of enthusiasts that have an increased amount of disposable income and collect cars have literally shifted to match the interest in buying Japanese cars versus buying European cars. A few years ago, they'll buy an air-cooled 911 for $60,000 that looks really good, but is marginally better than any newer $25,000 Mustang because they like it. So what really stops them from thinking that paying for a Type R for $60,000 from the late 90s is really that out of place when you're putting out, 60 grand here, 70 grand there? Honda fans now scream at those prices. And even when you talk to some of the biggest imports in the industry like Top Rank, they see those same people that were once buying Ferraris now just buying Nissans. They're just shifting the focus. And when that sort of thing happens, it's gonna lift and raise the water prices for nearly all prices of that type of car. Yes, it's because of the rich bourgeoisie. But that's not the only thing. There's something else, and it hurts a little bit more than the rich taking your base model versions of their cars and hiking the price up $4,000, because that also kind of sucks. Another reason is it's kind of just a shitty time to be 16. Let me grab an old overhead projector. We're gonna put it like here and wish the editor the best of luck. Here's time on the x-axis, and on the y is the price of cars. Now, in a typical sports car, where I had it when I was 16, the cars from the mid-90s and early 2000s were like realistically priced. Maybe a bit expensive, but it could be achieved as a second or third car with a loan. Go to a credit union, by the way, okay? I'm getting that out of the way. It's way better than a normal bank. Anyway, this graph would go down in price over time. Maybe you'd have a little bubble, have a little pickup in a generation, but for the most part, it was a nice steady curve downward until you got to a point where you could buy one because you were, in college and you were cheap and you had to pay for FAFSA. Let me show the cars you're competing against, which is in like 2010. Now 2010, out of the recession, the world's getting back to normal and prices actually rebounded on products and an overarching love for everything SUV, CUV, and crossover. The cars that were available were either $40,000 new or those same 90s cars grew up like you wanted to have that we grew up with, but now you're competing against us actually buying those same cars as well, and we're older than you, and technically, usually speaking, people that are older have a little bit more money. I mean, the cars of today aren't really being built for people like us outside of like some BMW, Porsche, and some domestic stuff, okay? CVT looking ass transmissions are garbage. And what happened is your graph went up and then stayed flat because you had this drive of demand on cars that you want, but also that other people want, like the older people, like the millennials. And it just keeps going up because of the water level. And now when you look at 2019 and 2020, it even inflated even further because of how much money you had circulating into the market because of everything that was going on last year and everybody being stuck at home. The prices on cars that you really wanted never have come down yet. Unlike most historically generations have been able to pick up cars because the prices have come down over time. You could snag a Grand Am GT with Ram Air, and Ram Air is pretty good, man. It's Ram Air. It's got the plastic inserts in the engine bay. It comes through the front of the Pontiac and it's Ram Air. It's so good. You should buy that one. That's cheap, but maybe not what you're looking for. And because Japanese cars specifically literally used to be the budget sports car to buy and still is, paired with the romanticizing of the platform over the past 3 to 5 years because of things like TikTok, YouTube, and famous people buying them because they have interest in cars like the NSX, the demand only increased and the supply really didn't match it. The supply is dwindling because the cars are older. The demand is increasing. So what do you think is going to happen? So does that mean you're out of luck? I mean, after all, everything is expensive and we're living in a world where cash value is made up and the points just don't matter anymore. And to be honest, the answer would be yes. But you just got to enter in a couple cheat codes and you could easily find some cheap alternatives that aren't as hiked up as like an S2000 that you found on the marketplace that for some reason is $25,000 at 200,000 miles. That stuff, it just don't make no sense. Number one, if you're looking for a cheap, fun car, stop looking at platforms and start looking at what you enjoy with the car and shop by that thing. There's a slim chance that you're gonna be able to snag a Toyota Supra, specifically in your first, second, or even third purchase. But there are plenty of Lexus IS, LS, and GS models out there with similar platforms, similar engine stuff, similar communities that can make you happy versus the $80,000 Supra price, or even the $25,000 FC price that's coming around. Look at what other platforms have bad for like an engine or body style or features that you love from the overpriced cars, because the chances are that they're in another platform are extremely high. Want pop-up headlights? Just go look at a Corvette instead of an FC. I'm telling you, people are sleeping on domestic cars. Now, Miata's not at Miata prices anymore. You may have to start checking out like a Toyota MR2. 300ZX turbos costing more than the down payment on a house. Sounds like you really still need a Mitsubishi 3000 GT, because guess what? They're gonna give you the same amount of problems and they're just as difficult to work on regardless on which one you pick. Look elsewhere. There's a ton of cool that you could definitely pick up and have a blast with, and I'm so glad to see other people taking off-meta builds and doing something fun with them, like the New Balance kid with the Corvette and the big wheels. That thing looks sick. Maybe it won't get the same attention as a minty fresh NSX, but those prices aren't coming down anytime soon. And if anything, it may be time for you to start looking at some domestic options and apply some Japanese style love to it, because I'm pretty sure that's gonna be the only way a lot of people are going to be able to go for a couple 2-3 years. If you heard anything in this video, learn that Corvettes are a steal. But what do you think? Can you find cheap cars where you're at right now? If so, let me know what it is and how much it was in the comment section below. I think the best deal I recently found was a 92 VR4 with 160,000 miles for 10 grand, and I will not pay that. Anyway, if you do end up picking up a car and you need wheels, tires, or suspension, be sure to check us out over at fitmentindustries.com. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and if you haven't yet, also leave a comment on what you'd like us to talk about next in the comment section below of our new series, What Happened, which is this one. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We'll see you later. Peace. I also picked up a 94 VR4 one time for 100 grand, or 100,000 miles for $3,800. And all of it worked.